Guitar Center.
Yeah. Yeah. Walk into any Guitar Center on a Saturday afternoon, and you'll see a bunch of guys like me in there, trying to work their way through the latest system of down zone.
Shooting down to C-sharp, C/S. You guys have any questions out there? Do a few songs.
You always play the PRS?
Yeah, actually, the first guitar I ever bought was a Strat, and I bought it on a Friday, and my house got broken into that Saturday, and I had to write a check for it that Monday. Yeah, so that was my first home guitar, and then I went to actually we went to Braston, and they were having a tax clearance sale, and they were selling a $2,000 PRS for $750 because they had to get rid of it. Black, and I bought it, and since then, like I have tendonitis, ligamentous, whatever you want to call it. You can do it, right?
Yeah.
And I stuck with PRS because they have like it's like a race car. It's really fast. It doesn't sound as good as a Strat or a Les Paul, but it's a lot easier to play. Yeah, it just doesn't hurt as much.
And they look really awesome.
Oh yeah.
Look at that.
They make some of the nicest guitars. Really.
Yeah.
They look amazing.
Especially for like how big of a company they are now, they really feel like, 2 or 3 people made that guitar rather than this like assembly line feel. Like PRS definitely feels like boutique still, even though they put out a ton of guitars.
There's still a lot of, even at like Jake was saying, for the amount of guitars they crank out, there's still like a lot of quality control at that company. Yeah. Unlike some other high production companies where the quality control is somewhat lacking these days.
I went to the factory in November, I think, and took a tour. There's probably 90 employees there, and every single person was glowing, just like loved their job. Or I was like, I've never been to a place where that many people were happy to be at work.
And just the dedication to like the wood, for example, and everything they do to the wood before it becomes a guitar is great. Just to know that they care makes a difference.
They've been nothing but great.
I was a PRS player for years, but I just never quite come to terms with the electronics on my guitar, and I had them put a really fat neck on it, so it felt like a Gibson for me. I still have it, sure. Yeah, I think I have the only PRS solid body in existence that has a Bixby on it. Actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they need a double cut McCarty for me with Bixby on it. And it's the only one they ever made. I had to send it back to them because they couldn't quite make it work because it wasn't supposed to have Bixby on it. So
Too big of a trend or something.
it's just odd. But they work. They're a great company.
Yeah. Consistency. Because I've got my favorite guitar of all time that I have at home is actually a bass guitar, and when you just like a piece of wood has just got a bit of God in it or something. Yeah, I've got this old Rickenbacker 4001, like a late '70s one, and I've played a million of these, but there's something about it. Like Stasek uses this particular bass. Our bass player on like all of our records because it's like got the sound. There's no dead spots in any of the notes, so the G is like. There's like no dead spots. So I've even had producers from studios go, "I'll buy that bass for me for $5,000 right now," because it's just that they've never heard anything like it. So it's kind of like that hollow thing. Once you got a piece of wood that sounds like that, just hold on to it.
year, I think, and we were playing Terminal 5. And, I mean, this guitar is only 3 years old, and it wasn't relic from the factory. This is all from me.
It's 20 years old.
Yeah, but this was a good one. I was at the front of the stage and having the fans play my guitar. I was holding it like this. And then at some point, I can't remember what it was we were playing, but it was something that was pretty energetic. And I started bashing the back of my head. And then I held it up to Rob, and then Rob started doing like these judo kicks into the back of my head. Which is great, you know, like a great rock and roll moment, except it's not a solid body guitar, it's a thin line. And so he happened to kick it right where it's hollow. And so the wood is only an 1/8 of an inch thick right there. And so he happened to kick it right on the other side of the F hole, right here. You can actually see this crack. Yeah, I mean, he just bashed the hell out of it. I don't know if it was me punching it or him kicking it, but between the two of us, yeah, so. You know, it is now. It's got soul now.
I mean, truly, once you start getting physical with your guitars, it's hard. I had to stop. My other C&Ls are like, I think a couple years ago, started getting into this thing at the end of the night. You just like drop the guitar on the ground and flops on. You know, it kind of gets addicting. And then you start realizing, you know, your crew guys go, we gotta stop doing that. We gotta have the guitars playing.
So we used to do a ritual spanking before we went out on stage. You know, so they would take my guitar, and it was Rob. He used to hit me as hard as he could with my guitar. To go out on stage. It got to the point where it was not only hurting me, but hurting my guitar.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you know what? One of us is going to get hurt, you know?
The show might not happen.
Yeah, you know, go out with like a broken guitar or like a broken tail going on.
That's rock and roll.
Yeah.
Now you guys know next time you go see Mo, 5 minutes before they're on stage, the backstage smacking each other.
So now we get color. So this is new.
Yeah, this is about this is a Becker, yeah,
Becker.
Dan Becker.
Right.
It's about 2 months old, so it's just kind of breaking in, and it feels good. Like I was telling some of the guys, took the radius of my hand and sort of made the scale to like how fat my fingers were.
That's awesome.
And just kind of where it felt right.
Right.
So it's actually a different scale than normal. It's a little shorter.
Right. Oh,
It's
yeah.
a little short.
Right.
And so it's called Mother Earth, and the idea is this is like the ocean, the depths.
Right.
There's the island, and you walk on land and go into the forest.
So you almost never. I can't think of any other guitars where you actually see like a sunburst finish on the neck itself. Yeah.
It was
Some of
something
the maple fretboard.
Yeah, it's all
finished it.
Yep, it's all maple, and there's just a little bit of purple heart, so it's all soft maple and purple heart.
Right. That is very cool.
Yeah, it's kind of. I really was looking for a guitar that I feel like I want to play